This was an Evening Experience production. Once again, it's Boy Mac 357. This has been the Evening Experience.
On the critical.
Keep
Oh,
going.
so, okay. And that you want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay, that we for granted in the critical thinking. And so now we have a situation that our Black people, our house is on fire. That's what I would tell you. Our house is on fire. Well, and if we don't do anything, it's going to burn down to the ground. And so this is the reason why I decided that I need to do something. And so the things that I focus on has a direct relationship to children and families, African American families, because I know that the one thing that you know if you ever tutor a Black child, especially the ones that's behind, you're working with them, and what you see is the growth in them, how the possibilities, all the things they got stored up. But then if that doesn't really get it for you, if you go to the cemetery or you read the obituary and you see somebody that died at 20 and and how they passed, and you say to yourself, they took all those gifts with them to the grave. We're not fulfilling our purpose here because a lot of our kids finish high school. They can't read, they can't write, they can't complete an application, don't know how to maintain a job. I talked to a kid that's 18. He told me he was 18 yesterday, and in Pikesville, Maryland, he was working at the giant food store. And he says to me, I hate my job. I said, well, you don't look like you're enjoying it, but he says, I don't like the work. You 18. I said, woo, you're going to have a challenging life if you don't like to work. He said, well, I'm going to take care of myself. I said, well, how would you do with that with no money? He said, I don't know, but I don't like to work. How you get 18 and not like to work? You know?
Well, I think sometimes that people are not filling their passions or not going after things that sustain them. They go after things that sustain them, I should say, and they don't go after their passions. So people are, as some author or there was a teacher that I spoke with, an educator that said, and I quote, that there's a process where kids are being taught in school how to work, but
That's
not
right.
to realize their dreams and passions. Like they're being bred to go out into the workforce to pay bills barely because the money that is being made at work they does not pay the bills. Sometimes people have to take two and three jobs, and it's kind of hard to feel passionate about something you have to do as opposed to something that you want to do.
Yeah, but
And
go ahead. Sorry.
that's just the gist of it. And with that being the case, um, with schools not fulfilling dreams and hopes and desires of kids outside of the norm, sports, entertainment and the things of that nature. When it comes to science, when it comes to math, when it comes to things that are in those realms, there's certain kids that they take to the upper echelon, and certain ones they just you have a
Leave.
requirement to fulfill. Here it is.
Yeah, but passion is something. I take Lewis Latimer. He has a passion to work. He had a passion to work with his hand. He had a passion to a lot of electronics and things like that. And you see his father nurturing that at a very young age. And
Right.
so when you have in school, when you have such a diverse population, but everything that a child needs is right there, and sometimes it parallel with another child. Like if your interest are the stars, and somebody interest uh is the dynamics of a car, the one area that they have in common is mathematics. So if you can nurture both of those dynamics, you get kids really interested. Okay, well, I got to learn more math, and that one may be at a higher degree than the other. And when you got to learn different things, but you're nurturing that kid's passion and interest. But the first time you get nurtured of your passion and interest should not be in school. It should be at home. And you taking it with you to expound on that nurse. And by the way, your passion and interest may change during your exposure period, but
Facts.
not your purpose.
But I will say this: I disagree in a sense because I was a teacher, and
Mhm.
I see the fact that kids' passions do need to be realized in school
Yes.
as well as in
Oh
home. And
yeah.
yes, it might change, but the
Hmm.
fact is, in that exploratory process, if you have multiple passions or multiple things that you dream about, that you want to be, we should speak to those things and show you the ins and outs of them,
Right.
the ups and downs, the lefts, the rights, because it gives you now more stability in your mind as to what this really will happen in that interim, in that space.
Hmm.
And that for me is something that kids don't have. It's like they're being turned out like drones.
So
And
I don't know where we disagree because I agree with just everything that you said because yeah, I totally agree with that, and I hope that's what I conveyed in what I just said is what you just said. So yeah,
but
yeah,
okay,
I agree.
so my next question to you is if kids if you're wanting this process to be, because the fact that there's lack of people having knowledge of our African American ancestors who have created so many technological things out in the world, as you said, the GPS, refrigeration units, first successful heart surgery, so forth and so on. There's a lot of things that we haven't been comprised of or can barely name those people. And once again, for me, it goes back to school because once again, those processes during the quote unquote, African American History Month are left out. The thing that they still speak to this day is, oh, they were slaves. They don't go beyond that and speak to, once again, the technological aspects that we've given, the um, processes of building this country, creating in this country, so forth and so on. And with that being the case, um, I applaud you for being a person that is taking up this gauntlet because it is something that we need to learn from, speak about, speak to. But what are some of the things that you think need to be in place in order for this to happen?
Well, one, I give you this. I don't know what really. I don't have all the answers to this problem. I do not have all the answers.
Okay.
However, there are some things um, that we can start doing it because we're behind in our own culture learning process. See, the contribution that African Americans have made have been outstanding, and because you could take a look at things, the GPS, you can go to France, and that's what we took a tour and that's what the bus driver used. Something that some African American made here is used all over the world. The light, the filament for the light, used all over the world. Refrigeration, all over the world. And so here we have this profound impact on America, on other country, but it's a secret. So
Right.
we got to release the secret. And so I was at Dionne Warwick School, and I told the students to make this work. And because we are behind, what we want to do is to have you, when you push the elevator door, you say, open Alexander Miles. So you remember who did that. When you go to your GPS, start calling out the name Gladys West. So people know that these are Afrocentric people that have done some great things. And when we, as a people, we have HBCUs. They have a profound impact on our country. And
Right.
so I encourage people to commit yourself. Every Black person, every person that wants to, but particularly every Black person should commit themselves to at least $5 a month to one of the 102 HBCUs. We have to start making changes. And so I have a program called Lead and Read. And so I petitioned the African American Church to join the nonprofit that I founded called Synergy Training Solution. That church would join. Its members would go into the community, get an African American student between 4 and 19. That student will call them once a week, just one time a week, and read to that volunteer for 10 minutes. In that time frame, your goal is to help develop some of the educational skills and help that kid get a love for reading. That's one of the things that you want to be able to do. The second part is that because a lot of our kids are graduating and not having being able to read, not having a passion or interest. They have them, they just haven't been activated, don't know how to channel them, don't know how to pursue them. And so I work with the program. It's not mine, but I work with the program. It's called 3Ps: passion, pursuit, and purpose. And so it's designed for high school. The founder focuses on high school because they're getting ready to leave the system. And if we can get our people to leave the system with some equipment to be able to function, it will be a much better place for us. We can start seeing and eventually, hopefully, create a decrease in our kids getting in trouble, having behavior issues, having kids, and all these other things that brings about when you're discontented with some of the things that's going on in your life. So it's a journey, is what I would say. And it takes a lot of people to get it done. You take people to be committed. But sometimes you just don't know how to start. I think a lot of people, when I go into the community, a lot of people have a sense of hopelessness because, and like you said before, they learn to work. And they go to school, they develop learning skills that teach them how to work. But Martin Luther King talks about critical thinking in a lot of his writings.
Correct.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like the mentoring aspect that you have. That is exceptional because a lot of times there's a disconnect between our elderly and our youth, and we don't. As I said, there's not a process where someone is giving them an opportunity to connect, even on that level, and giving them the opportunity to as you said, learn more in the process of gaining not only someone who can walk them through this process, but at the same time, give them the opportunity to know that somebody's there in their corner.
Right.
Because too many times, the kids are somewhere, the older people are somewhere, and nobody's having that conversation. And to have something like that is commendable and a very, very, very good thing to have in the community. So I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I'm enjoying the process. Our launch date is July 1st, I believe it is. That's our launch date. So I'm looking forward to getting, some churches have already committed to being on board and so forth. But it's there's so much strength. You say you're a teacher. There's so much strength in the Black kids. But you see the strength in some of the Black kids, but
Right.
you don't see it when no matter what state I go through and look at the state report card, and it's always saying that the African American is below the marker.
Correct.
And so we create a system. People are getting rich off the back of African Americans. And so there's no, I'm not sure how strong the incentive is to get rid of some of these problems that are in education or economic, because people are getting rich off of it. But one of the things we need to do is to make sure that we do our part. We can strengthen our own community. And that's why the Black church for Lead and Read is crucial. Now, other times I tell people if they're not a Black church, you can contribute because we still got the parent training, we got 3P training. They can contribute and, go it that way. But I don't see things changing without some really major intervention. I just don't.
And I 1000% agree with you on that because of the fact that too many times, like you said, there's things that are not in place, and the people who are getting rich make sure that they don't come into place, because then you know your worth, you know what you're really paying for when the microscope is put on it. Because
Right.
now you're going, well, how come I'm not receiving this, and I see other people who are receiving this, and this. So you're telling me, what am I paying for? I'm paying for basically the basics, and you're not giving me the intricacies or the things in which I need in order to, as I said earlier, speak to passions or speak to different, vocations or things that people can get into that they didn't even know was there because of the fact that nobody's highlighting it, nobody's bringing it to the forefront. And like you said, status quo is what it is. These people who are getting rich will stay exactly what they're doing. You're not paying attention, so I'm not going to comprise you of anything. I'm just going to let you keep paying, and we'll keep going. Like, why rock the boat? Um, so besides the connections with the churches and the communities, is there anything that we need to look forward to that we can be a part of out in the world?
Well, there's a few things that, you can look forward to my new book that's coming out. I don't know when the publisher will put it out there yet, but it's called Blacks in STEM. And so what I try to do during my writing is to show the young people of the great things that their ancestors have left them, and the ones that are currently here now, and things that we're doing, and pay attention to things like we're getting ready to go through a digital currency process, but no one is fighting to make sure that we're included in that process.
Right.
I can't remember the name, but we are really the cause of the financial strength of America. On the backs of America, there's cotton, there's all sorts of farming, and those things are blacksmiths. And that's on our back on a financial. There's no reason why MIT, which has, I think, the government contract for researching digital currency for America, should not include us in the naming of some of those products that's coming out as it relates to the digital market. So we don't fight for things until the door has been closed on them. And then we go and fight for these things. I think the unification of Black people should be more closely knitted. And so that we will say, if an organization will be paying attention to what's going on in other vineyards and other areas, we should be paying attention to our kids and what's being taught to our kids. One of the things that really concerns me is that we allow things that has no value for us to transpire. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's a civil rights bucket that has been in the United States for years. And so people go in and they pick out one thing, they pick out another one. And each time the African Americans get on the bandwagon and they fight with other people to get these civil rights issues passed and so forth. But not one time have I ever seen where the African Americans have taken a complete win in that fight, in that civil rights. So they process it that I say should work is that in the civil rights bucket, you should make it human rights. And if you give every human the rights, then everything else will fall under that umbrella. And so then that way everybody gets rights. And so that we have not been able to establish that because we'll get, I can't remember what state she was in, but she went to fight with Congress to convince Congress that They need to support the idea of men can have babies. That was the gist of her conversation. Now, our house is on fire, and God has created the format for us to create babies, and you want to fight with who? Our
Right.
kids, we got an education and an economic and a political crisis in our community. And now your fight really isn't with Congress. Your fight is with God. This is,
We got more than that.
well, do you feel like that everything else falls under that?
I I feel that the crisis that we have is a lot of different things, and education being the lack
Mhm.
of in all of them, because of the fact that the things, like I said, we're taught are not, as you said, speaking to health, life, financial, mental, everything. We've been broken. They want to leave us broken. They want to leave us separated. They want to leave us, because if we unify, there's a process of there being where, like you said, that dollar, which is very fertile in our communities, that is spent in all of these different billion and trillion dollar corporations. And the reason why they are billion and trillions, because we spend a lot of money to make sure that they're that way, would come together and change the swinging of the pendulum, if you want to say, that would rock their worlds. They would hate that. So, like I said, it's a process of what's being taught as you're a drone. You don't have the right to be the queen bee. You don't have the right to be the person at the top. You don't have the right to be you're a worker. Keep working
Mhm.
and you'll be okay. And I think our prayers, God bless, should go up, and we should pray and work within the confines, as you said, Dr. Martin Luther King said, in a way. You don't have to swing a bat, an axe, a sword, or anything at anybody to stop someone in their tracks. Take away the money,
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
stop.
And really, there's no real reason for them to be making that kind of money in education off Black people. Now, this is the thing. Now, you take your job. If our students go to school, first, second, third grade is when they start testing. Fourth grader, third, fourth grade is when they start looking at prison pipeline. They call it the prison pipeline. And they determine how many prisons they're going to be making by the time this particular class finish. Now,
Correct.
we should, of course, if you're really interested in civil rights, that'd be something you'd be fighting for, you know.
Hello.
So, but no, what we do is that we say, um, we're going to pass the kids on, even if they can't make the grade. That's a solution for this problem. Well, I have worked with first graders or first graders, and you can tell by the first 9 weeks the deficiency that this child has. And if
Right.
you're going to correct it in that period, in those periods, so that because you got the kid for 6 hours, you got the kid more time than the parents do, and correct that, and then let the kid keep moving on. Because a child knows when they're deficient. They know when they're not compatible with the rest of their classmates. So you could start seeing the kid acting out and doing all these other things. But if it was a corporation and you spent 2 years or 3 years being efficient, you would not have the job. You see, but instead we take something that's so vital to the survival of our country, which is our children, and we just keep giving them an artificial lie. Because, like I said, a kid knows that when they're not doing good. So you give them this lie in first grade, you pass them to the second grade when they themselves know they shouldn't have passed. Then you pass them to the third grade, and then by fourth grade, they got an IEP, got a 504. They classify this behavior problem
Correct.
because of what? And so these kind of interventions that we're doing right now with the 3Ps project, which allows you it impacts the focus of the child. It impacts the this child's self-esteem, because it's touching base with their passion. It's touching base with how to pursue this. So you got people like, I'm out of school, but what am I going to do? Instead of fixing the problem in school, there are some districts that's now creating 5 and 6 ways for a person to graduate. So it tells you it's not about the quality of the graduation, it's about you getting out of school. And the
Correct.
people that's impacted the most by this are African Americans.
Correct.
But we allow a system to create these markers for us.
And this is the other part to that. The other caveat to that is the fact that you have a person, like, there's less African American males statistically than African American females that are graduating school. And once again, as you said, they're creating a process of funneling those pipelines because they give them the bare minimum, they ask the bare minimum, and they don't want any more from you, because if, once again, you're a strong African American male who is now out in the world, and you're creating a process which is now making more jobs, having technological aspects, monies, different other things. These things will then make you a force that goes against the quote unquote the norm. And we don't want you to change the norm. We want you to keep the norm as it is. Y'all keep talking, doing nothing, and we're gonna keep making the money, and that's the way it's supposed to go. But the people such as yourself who are in the forefront and in the mindset of creating knowledge and having people access information is now going to start to change that dynamic. And this is something that I once again commend you on, because without people like yourself and others who are taking up that gauntlet, there are people who will ascertain information. There'll be people who are not. But if everybody has the same information, now seeking it, looking at it, creating from it, and going further with it is up to that person. But at least you have the opportunity to do so. And where, like you said, maybe one person maybe knows one person's name on that technological list. You, like you said, uses something every day and don't realize how important or impacted their lives in this world or any parts of this world were affected by one African American person. And that African American has now, like you said, changed this world. And people are sitting there going, well, I thought it was Tom who created the GPS. But with that being the case, they're going to have you think that. They're going to miss it then and go, yeah, well, we did this. No, you didn't. But in all aspects, but like I said, you know, it's very commendable and very, very, very great that we have someone such as yourself and others who are wanting people in the world to know. And the fact that you are putting it as it's supposed to be, black tech, not sort of off-color tech, sort of tan tech. No, black tech. And the fact is, we're technologically sound. We are creatives. We are people who have a lot of brain power and a lot of incredible ideas, and we should now take the opportunity and create that process.
Well, you know, I want to leave you with this, is that we take somebody like Jesse Russell. Jesse Russell is a brainchild of the cell phone, but you will not, you don't, people don't even know who he is.
Right.
And it's like some of our HBCUs have 90% pass rate on the first try for the bar. But you don't hear about them.
Right.
You don't hear about the one where we're passing the bar higher than some of the Ivy Leagues, but you don't hear about that. And so why do we keep our stuff quiet, but we just take a bullhorn to really announce someone else's thing. We have to. This is why pride to me is so important. That kids go to school with it. They and if the parents are not doing it, if when you purchase my book, the kid can look in there and get an idea and a dream that this could be me. This could be me. And so this is something that I really want to be able to do. So I've asked a lot of corporations to purchase the book so I can leave it. I want our kids to go back to school with the idea and notion that I am somebody, and I'm not just saying it in words. I see the great things that we are doing and have done, and I just want to be part of that. And it invoke the pride into our children. And that's something that we can't, we, somebody, my Angelo, somebody that says, uh, tell you something, believe them. We cannot say that the school have our kids' best interests at heart because our kids are not coming out with it. It's not showing. I think teachers are sensation. They become overwhelmed with all the stuff that we have put forth for a teacher to do. And so here, a teacher is trying their best to do everything that they possibly can, but you just keep piling on, piling on, piling on, and don't give them the support that they need to make sure that the kids are successful. So it's not like I'm saying that the teachers don't care, but if one guy told me that he would, in 1 year, he got different curriculum that he had to learn and implement. And they keep bringing and piling things on top of the teacher each and every year during the course of a year. They
Right.
tell you they're going to support you in these deficiencies, but when you request it, it never shows up. So it's a lot of things that go on. And so when people say, well, the teacher's not this, well, the teachers are overwhelmed with what the administration say they're going to do, and it doesn't get done. So, all the teachers I've met has been sensational. So, and they would probably do a lot better job if they had a lot more support. That's one of the things that I would say.
I will part in saying this. I'm going to say for the teachers, I'm going to say for our filmmakers, instead of making films about being slaves, try making films about being technicians. One of them was the African American women who worked in NASA, who was instrumental in making that happen. We need more movies like that. We need
Yeah,
more
Hidden Figures were great.
Right. We need more movies that speak to our prowess, our brain power, our incredible minds that we have, because a lot of times, once again, we see us in a lot of different aspects in the movie, but we need ones that don't just speak to the dealers in the street, gangsters. We need ones that speak to our our mental and incredible brain mass that speak to all of the different things that we are in this world. And I think if we had that diversification, it would be something great.
But once again, we got to come out, see those movies, and make sure that they are stellar in the box office, because of the fact that we want to be able to sustain that type of movie making its mark. So they can't say, well, ain't nobody gonna watch that. That's not true. And part of it, I'll even go with the fantasy part. Part of it being with Black Panther and all of the different creations in Wakanda that were technological. Even if it's fantasy, it can be reality if worked on properly. So
once again, I want to thank you for being here today. Once again, it's Boy Mac 357. This was the Evening Experience Radio Show. We're here with the one and only, and I want to tell you, incredible Miss Watson. And once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. Theresa Merritt-Watson has been here. Please go get the book, Black Tech. You can find it on Amazon and all publications. Please take the opportunity and follow her. It's Theresa Merritt-Watson on Instagram. Take the opportunity and follow her in all places. And please, if she has any calls to arms or process of volunteers, please take the opportunity to do so. And if you can get in her book into your church or in your areas, let her know. Please take the opportunity to do so.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. I love what I do.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.